Hello everyone. In the first module, we gave an overview about the Indian oil and gas industry. We tried to understand the petroleum consumption in our country, the petroleum reserves available in our country, whether it is crude oil or natural gas, and then we also elaborated about the various initiatives done by Government of India. Today we are moving on to understand more about the Indian refining industry, which is part of the downstream of the oil and gas value chain. So, in this episode, we will try to understand the refining capacity and how the refining industry evolved in our country starting in 1901, and then about the various refineries that were set up in our country, whether it is in public sector or private sector or as a joint venture. And then we will also try to address about the future needs of the refining industry. So, in terms of crude oil refining capacity, India is in the 4th position, so after USA, China and the Russian Federation. In USA, the capacity of refining is around 19 million barrels per day, while in China it is 16.2 million barrels per day. The Russian Federation, it processes 6.7 million barrels per day. In India, it is approximately 5 million barrels per day. So, that is where we rank in the refining capacity amongst the other countries. Now, let us try to understand the history and evolution of petroleum refining in India. So, way back in the last part of the 18th century, oil was struck in Assam, and immediately the decision makers they tried to set up a refinery in the nearby locality. So, the very first refinery in India was set up at Digboi, which was in Assam. Digboi refinery is known as the birthplace of the oil industry in India. So, that is where our oil and gas industry's history has started. Digging for oil started in 1889, and the refinery was set up almost in 1901. The Indian Oil Corporation took over this refinery, and it was known as Assam Oil Division, and finally it became part of Indian Oil Corporation. So, this refinery has got the distinction of Asia's first refinery and one of the oldest still in operation. Even after 120 years, this refinery is running, and this is the unique distinction of this refinery at Digboi. So, after Digboi refinery, almost for 53 years, there were no refineries that were constructed in our India, in our country. So, way back in 1954, Stanwalk, a multinational company which was later known as ESSO, they commissioned a refinery, 1.2 million metric tons per annum refinery at Trombay in Maharashtra. In 1955, Burma Shell commissioned its 1.7 million metric ton refinery in the same location, that is Trombay in Maharashtra. On the other side, in the eastern coast, in the city of Visakhapatnam, Caltex set up a 0.75 million metric tons refinery in 1957. So, this is how multinationals started the refining industry after 1901, after a gap of 53 years. Later, due to several policy decisions, these multinational companies were taken over by Government of India. In 1974, Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited, in short HPCL, comes into being after the takeover and merger of erstwhile Esso Standard and Lube India Limited. Caltex Oil Refining India Limited, which was known as Coril, it was taken over by the Government of India in 1976 and subsequently merged with HPCL in 1977. In 1976, Bharat Refineries Limited acquired complete ownership of Burma Shell's interest in India, including the largest refinery and the nationwide marketing organization. Bharat Refineries Limited was later named as Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited or BPCL. So, this is how these two major Indian petroleum organizations, namely HPCL and BPCL, emerged. So, if you see the refinery organization in India, so primarily there are 23 refineries which are managed by organizations such as Indian Oil Corporation Limited IOCL, Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited HPCL, Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited BPCL, ONGC Oil and Gas Natural Corporations. All these are public sector undertaking. In the private sector, the refineries are managed by Reliance Industries Limited and Nayara Energy. Now let's try to understand each of these refineries, their speciality and where they are located. So this is a map which gives a complete idea about how the refineries are located. So if you see the map clearly, most of the refineries are located in the coastal region, starting in Chennai, Cochin, Mumbai, Visakhapatnam, etc. The advantage of having a coastal refinery is primarily to take care of the logistic needs of the crude oil transportation. The crude oil can be brought in from abroad in an easy manner, and it can be imported in the jetty, and then it can be easily taken to the refinery with ease. But of course, Government of India has a policy, has also set up several refineries in inland because the inland needs of the country need to be taken care. For example, we have refinery in Panipat, we have refinery in Bina in Madhya Pradesh, we have a refinery in Mathura in Uttar Pradesh. So this is how the country's oil and gas needs are taken care by the refineries. Now let's try to understand the different kind of refineries which are part of Indian Oil Corporation Limited. As I said earlier, Digboy refinery is the very first refinery which was started in the state of Assam in 1901. This is the oldest refinery in the world which is running smoothly. And this is also called as a Gangotri of Indian hydrocarbon sector. Earlier it was owned and operated by Assam Oil Company Limited, which was a Burma Shell company, and finally it came into the fold of Indian Oil Corporation Limited and known as Assam Oil Division. Now it is very much part of Indian Oil Corporation. So this is the oldest refinery in our country. The second refinery of Indian Oil Corporation is the Guwahati refinery. Guwahati refinery is also located in the state of Assam, and this was commissioned on Jan 1st, 1962. It is the government's first public sector refinery as well as Indian Oil's first refinery. So this refinery was constructed with the help of Romanian engineers. The Romanians have traveled to India and they helped to construct the refinery, and of course our Indian engineers, they have also got trained in Romania for constructing this refinery. Though the refinery was the very first refinery in our country, it was commissioned well before the scheduled date. So that's how the refinery, very first refinery, has got its own distinction. Then we move on to the Barauni refinery. Barauni refinery is located in Bihar. It is the second refinery of the country. So Barauni refinery was commissioned in 1964. Again, Barauni refinery was also constructed with the help of Romanians as well as Russians. So Russians played a key role in constructing the refinery, and the Romanians also played a minor role. So this is how the refineries were constructed in collaboration with the foreign help. Then we move on to Gujarat refinery, which is also known as Koyali refinery. So this refinery is located at Koyali, Vadodara district of Gujarat. This is the second largest refinery owned by Indian Oil Corporation Limited. The refinery was built with the assistance of Soviet Russia and one of the most complex refineries in India. Gujarat refinery was having around 40 different operating units, and this was the very first refinery to have hydrocracker technology. Hydrocracker technology is supposed to be one of the complex technology, and Gujarat refinery was the very first to adopt this technology in Indian refinery scenario. Then the next refinery is Haldia refinery. Haldia refinery is located in West Bengal. This is the fourth refinery of Indian Oil Corporation Limited. It is one of the two refineries of Indian Oil Corporation Limited producing lube oil base stocks. Normally, refineries are classified under fuel refinery or a lube refinery. All refineries cannot produce lube oil. Very few refineries would be designed and constructed in a manner so that lube oil can be produced. This is one such refinery which can produce lube based stocks. The fuel sector of the refinery was built with the French collaboration, while the lube sector was constructed with the help of the Romanian collaboration. Then comes the Bongaigaon refinery. Bongaigaon refinery is again located in Assam. Bongaigaon refinery has got the distinction of being the first indigenous grassroots refinery in the country, integrated with a petrochemical complex at one location. So that is why this refinery is known as Bongaigaon Refinery and Petrochemicals Limited. It is not a plain refinery alone. It has got the subsequent processing of petrochemical product. It is the 8th refinery under the umbrella of Indian Oil Corporation Limited. Then comes the Mathura refinery. Mathura refinery is located in Uttar Pradesh, very much close to the monumental heritage structure Taj Mahal. It is the 6th refinery of the Indian Oil Commission in 1982. Since the refinery is very much closer to Taj Mahal, it is very serious about the environmental pollution and has done lot of initiatives to address the concerns related to the environmental pollution. Mathura refinery is the only refinery in the country to set up 4 continuous ambient air monitoring stations far beyond the work area for protecting community and archaeological sites from atmospheric pollution. This is one refinery where lot of new technologies have been brought in for the first time. Then comes the Panipat refinery. Panipat refinery is located in the state of Haryana. It was set up in the year 1998. Panipat refinery is the 7th refinery belonging to Indian Oil Corporation Limited. Then Paradip refinery. Paradip refinery is the 11th refinery being set up by Indian Oil Corporation in the state of Odisha. Now we move on to Chennai Petroleum Corporation Limited. Chennai Petroleum Corporation was erstwhile known as Madras Refineries Limited, which is known as MRL, was a standalone refinery sometime back, and later it was acquired by Indian Oil Corporation Limited. So Madras Refineries or Chennai Petroleum Corporation Limited was formed as a joint venture in 1965 between Government of India and Amoco, an American oil company, and National Iranian Oil Company, NIOC. CPCL today has got 2 locations. One location is in Manali, Chennai, where it has got 3 refineries, and CPCL has also got a mini refinery at Nagapattinam. Chennai Petroleum Corporation was the pioneer in implementing lot of new age technologies. It was the very first refinery to adopt distributed control system, that is the microprocessor based control room, then advanced process control and optimization, as well operator training simulator. So that is how Chennai Petroleum Corporation has got the unique distinction of being the forerunner in adopting to new technologies. Now we move on to Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, which is known as BPCL Limited. BPCL has got 4 refineries, one in Mumbai, one in Kochi, the third one is in Binai in Madhya Pradesh, and finally Numaligarh in Assam. The Mumbai refinery came into stream in 1955 under the ownership of Burma Shell Refineries Limited. Following government's policy of acquiring the multinational companies, Burma Shell was taken over by Government of India and it was renamed as Bharat Refineries Limited in 1976. In 1977, the company was given its permanent name Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited. Bharat Petroleum Corporation has got presence in the entire downstream, that is refining as well as the marketing of the petroleum products. Mumbai refinery has processed 93 different types of crude oil in the 5 decades of its operations, making it one of the most flexible refineries in the country. The next refinery that is part of Bharat Petroleum Corporation is the Kochi refinery. Kochi refinery was earlier known as Cochin Refineries Limited, and Cochin Refineries Limited was established as a joint venture in collaboration with Phillips Petroleum Corporation, which was an American company, and the government of India. It was later acquired by Bharat Petroleum Corporation in year 2006. Now Cochin Refineries is known as Kochi Refinery. Kochi Refinery is currently the largest public sector refinery in the country, surpassing the capacity of Paradeep and Panipat refineries of Indian Oil Corporation Limited. Then we move on. So this refinery, Bharat Oman Refinery, is a joint venture refinery. Bharat Oman Refinery is located in a place known as Bina in Madhya Pradesh. It was founded in the year 2011. It is a joint venture between India's Bharat Petroleum Corporation (BPCL) and Oman's Oman Oil Company. The crude oil for the refinery is transported through 935 km long pipeline from Wadinar in Gujarat to Bina in Madhya Pradesh. The fourth refinery, which is part of BPCL Corporation, is known as Numaligarh Refinery. This is located in Numaligarh in Assam. The refinery was born out of the historic Assam Accord signed in 1985. Hence, this refinery is also known as Assam Accord Refinery. This refinery is closely located near the Kaziranga National Park. In addition to the general environmental stipulations, stringent conditions were imposed by the government due to the proximity of the refinery to the famous Kaziranga National Park. So this refinery has paid enough attention to take care of the environmental aspects. So additional restrictions included a minimum of 5 air monitoring stations, including one within the above wildlife sanctuary. Now let's move on to discuss about the refineries under the umbrella of HPCL, that is Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited. HPCL has got 3 refineries, one in Mumbai, the next one is in Visakhapatnam, the third one is Bathinda. Mumbai refinery, as we discussed earlier, this was a refinery that was taken over from multinational organization by the government of India. This is located in Mumbai, Maharashtra. This Mumbai refinery was commissioned by SO standard in 1954. In 1974, the government of India took over the operation of SO in India and created Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited as a public sector enterprise. It is one of the most complex refineries in the country. So this Mumbai refinery of HPCL is one of the lube-based refinery with the highest lube production capacity in India. The second refinery under the umbrella of HPCL is the Vishak refinery. The Visakhapatnam refinery was commissioned in 1956 as Caltex Oil Refining India Limited, Koril in Andhra Pradesh. This was the first refinery on the east coast of India and the first major industry in Visakhapatnam. Finally, in 1978, Koril was taken over by Government of India, and finally this refinery was merged under HPCL. The third refinery under the umbrella of HPCL is the HMEL Bathinda refinery. This is a refinery located in Punjab. It is actually a joint venture refinery, a joint venture between HPCL Limited and Mittal Energy Investments Limited. This refinery became operational in the year 2002. This refinery is also known as Guru Gobind Singh Refinery, GGSR. Now we are going to discuss about the refineries under ONGC, Oil and Natural Gas Corporation Limited. As many of you know, ONGC is a upstream company that is primarily into exploration and production. Later, ONGC also started focusing on the downstream, and right now it is in the refining business. Let's try to understand the refineries under ONGC. So now the first refinery which is part of ONGC is the Mangalore refinery. Mangalore refinery is located in Mangalore, Karnataka. It was set up in the year 1988. This was not a plain refinery. It has also got a large complex of petrochemicals. So that is why the refinery is named as Mangalore Refinery and Petrochemicals Limited, MRPL. MRPL was originally a joint venture refinery promoted by HPCL Corporation and Indian Rayon Industries Limited and AV Birla Group Company. Later, this refinery was taken over by ONGC, and because of this, ONGC is now very much present in the downstream segment. Then comes Tatipaka refinery, which is located in Andhra Pradesh. This is a very small refinery which is part of ONGC Corporation. This is actually a scaled down version of a full-fledged refinery and a skid mounted retractable unit. So primarily you can call it as a portable refinery. So this is a very small refinery, but primarily this is processing some of the crude oil produced by ONGC Corporation. Now the refineries we have so far discussed were part of public sector undertaking where Government of India was the major stakeholder. Now we move on to discuss about the refineries under private sector. So when we talk about the private sector's presence in the refining business, the first group that comes into picture is the Reliance Industries Limited. So Reliance has got presence in the oil and gas business. So earlier they were into petrochemical business. So as a strategy of backward integration, they tried to get into the refining business, and because of this reason, now they are owning 2 refineries in Jamnagar. So the first refinery is located in the Special Economic Zone, Jamnagar, Gujarat. The first private sector refinery owned by Reliance Industries Limited. This was commissioned in 1999. It is the largest refinery complex in the world. The entire refinery complex was built in a record time at a globally competitive capital cost. In fact, at cost much lower than the comparable refineries around the world. And this refinery is also one of the most complex refineries in the world. Then the next private sector refinery is part of Nayara Energy. Let's try to understand more about Nayara Energy. Nayara Energy's refinery is located in Vadinar in Gujarat. Earlier this refinery was part of SR Oil Limited. Currently it was taken over by multinationals. Currently the major stakeholders are Rosneft, a Russian energy company, and Trafigura, a Singaporean trading company. Vadinar refinery is India's second largest single site state-of-art refinery, which constitutes approximately 8% of India's refining capacity. And this refinery started producing petroleum products in the year 2008. India's refining capacity has increased to 248.9 million metric tons at present, comprising 23 refineries, 18 under public sector, 3 under private sector, and 2 in joint sector. The capacity utilization of the refineries in India was 106.6% in 2016-17. Now it has increased to 107.7 in the year 2017-18. So way forward, so India plans to almost double its refining capacity. Currently it's approximately 250 million metric tons per annum. In next 10 years, the Government of India has planned to increase the capacity to around 450 to 500 million metric tons. This is primarily to take care of the future energy needs of the country. The capital additions will happen in private as well as government sectors. Either it can happen through brownfield or greenfield refineries. The major refinery is expected to be constructed in Maharashtra in collaboration with the Middle East companies, Saudi Aramco and Abu Dhabi National Oil companies. So in this episode, we try to understand more about the Indian refining industry. So in summary, the Indian refinery is more than 100 years old, and there are 23 refineries which are catering to the needs of the energy of the country, and India is planning to double its refining capacity in the next 10 years. These are the summary of today's discussion. Thank you so much.